Hey guys, welcome back to our three-part online course with a focus on painting sky and clouds in watercolor. In last week's video, we have learned how to paint that gradation wash for the sky, which really is the foundation of all of the scenarios for painting the sky. And today we're going to be looking at how to paint a cloudy day, and especially using the negative shape painting technique, where we'll be using that to depict streaks of clouds as well as rainy day clouds where the sky is peeking from behind the clouds. All right, let's dive straight in. But before that, a real quick announcement that I will be launching a paid membership program through Patreon starting in January 2025 with the sole focus of providing quality online learning experience through affordable price. As a member, you'll be able to attend online painting workshops every month, joining on Q&A live sessions and discussions, as well as receiving individualized critique and feedback from me. You will also get access to exclusive behind-the-scenes content where I will show my work in progress, as well as talking about other aspects of being an artist. I'm offering free subscriptions of 3 months for the first 20 members who sign up. All you need to do is go into the landing page and click Join for free, and you will get upgraded to the paid membership program after January. I would like to just give a quick shout out to the following folks who have already joined my Patreon program. I'm super excited to hang out with you all and paint some cool stuff. All right, back to the main topic. So the first example we're painting today is still a relatively sunny day, but the clouds are soft and comes in these streaked shapes, almost like a torn cotton candy. So for that, we will need to use wet on wet techniques by wetting down the sky surface entirely, and then we'll leave out the clouds as we paint along so that the medium will do the work for us, blending further and creating this very soft looking clouds. For the color mixtures, we'll be using the same colors as in the last course for the sunny sky, where it will be primarily cerulean blue plus a bit of ultramarine blue to further darken the top of the sky later. Because we're using wet on wet techniques here, the second coat we're applying to the first coat needs to be thicker, and in this case, I will also prefer it to be a little bit drier because the canvas is very wet at the moment. So any more liquidity will cause you to lose a lot of these like edges and shapes. What I do is just doing these big swooshes, left to right, right to left, to create these kind of like random shapes. Here is what the perspectives comes in play, where the clouds in the distance definitely needs to be smaller and almost flatter in shapes. So you can almost be doing these like dashed lines horizontally across the painting. Cool. I think we have got our streaked clouds. To finish up the painting, I will be painting these snow peaks by also using a negative painting techniques where I'll mainly be focused on painting the rocks between the snow. And then in the end, I like going back in to add some lavender color for the shaded part of the snow. So yeah, this is how you can depict very soft streak clouds on a sunny day. I would say this type of sky just adds way more interest and dynamics and also three-dimensionality, but it still relatively recede into the background and not take over too much attention because the color is very monochromatic and the shapes of the clouds are not very defined. So this is the street scene on a rainy day. That's what's unique about the rainy day scene. You can see the streets pretty much as a big mirror, reflecting all of the objects above the ground. So first step, similarly, wet down the entire canvas. And although this is a rainy day, everything will be quite gray. I would personally still prefer dotting in some yellow just to add a bit of color and also to suggest kind of the warmth of the sun trying to peek through from between the clouds. Now we're going to go mix the clouds color. Even though the rainy day clouds are very low in contrast, but they are still three-dimensional objects. If you look closely, you'll see that the top of the clouds will be lighter and warmer color, where the bottom will be cooler and darker color. This is why it's helpful to mix both the cool and the warm gray on your palette, just to get a sense of the level of contrast you will get. So for the gray, I just use ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. The cool gray will have more ultramarine, and the warm gray will have more burnt sienna. But keep in mind, once you start applying these color on paper, the contrast will become much lower because colors will blend when everything is wet. So first I applied the warm gray to carve out the cloud shape, leaving out only the skies in between them. So I'll go top to bottom and include even the reflection area. This allows the paint to have a chance to dry up a little bit. So then later when I go add in the cool gray for the shaded part of the clouds, it will have a little bit more definition. All right, so now apply the cool gray to the bottom of the clouds. This really helps the clouds feeling three-dimensional and of different thicknesses. Cool, I think now we can let the sky area dry up and finish painting the buildings in the foreground. So I'll be primarily using still the gray mixture, both warm gray and cool gray, but this time in a cream consistency. Having the reflections of the buildings as well on the streets going down vertically. So then we'll also go adding some dark tones for maybe these foliages, as well as some textures on the building. And we can finish up by dotting in some white gouache for the lights that's coming through the building. All right, so this is how we can use the same negative painting techniques to depict an overcast or a rainy day. All right, moving up on, we will be talking about making some further modifications to the negative painting techniques and turn that overcast or rainy day into a more dramatic stormy weather. So I'm imagining this is a scene of a strait with a lighthouse at the tip of the land's end. And the clouds will be pretty dark with maybe some beams of sunlight coming through. I will show you how to depict these gleaming sun. Also for the stormy day, because the clouds are going to be much darker, so are the objects, I find that adding some indigo blue color right into your burnt sienna and ultramarine mixture can make your gray color much darker as well as cooler, which I feel like is more appropriate to the stormy day weather. Another technique you can use here is right on a stormy day, you almost want the cloud's shape to be a little bit more defined. So what you can do is after you wet down the paper, actually take some tissue paper and soak up, the edges of the clouds where you want a bit more fidelity. Again, remember that the clouds in the distance will be a bit smaller and flatter. And now, only after you have painted the entire area of the sky, you can now go in with a clean brush and create these beams of sunlight from behind the clouds. Again, similarly for the stormy clouds, the bottom of the clouds will be a bit darker, so I'll be adding some thicker paint. As we move down to painting the area of the water, it will probably reflect a lot of the sunlight above. You just need to remember to roughly, leave out the areas that also is the brightest in the sky above. So here is the thing, on the stormy day, you may notice that the clouds aren't that much darker than a rainy or overcast day. But in painting, you cannot go lighter than the white of the paper. you can only go darker. So the key here is to go much darker for the clouds when you're depicting the stormy day, so that it will create drama through this high contrast between the light and the dark. All right, then, let me finish up the painting by adding the land, which will be, again, the darkest dark of the entire painting. And this is to, again, maintain that high contrast to create the impression that the glistening water that's reflecting this beaming sunlight is really intense. Cool. So with that, we have concluded today's painting tutorial. And now let's do a quick recap of all of the principles we have covered. The first takeaway here is that using the negative shape painting techniques can be highly effective for depicting the soft clouds in the sky, as well as the sky that's peeking through the clouds on a more cloudy day. When the sky is filled with clouds, the perspective is what creates the depth as well as believability of these clouds, so that keep in mind the clouds in the foreground are bigger and taller, while the clouds in the distance are smaller and flatter. The third takeaway here is that even on a low contrast lighting day, the clouds are still three-dimensional objects, with the top of it being warmer and lighter, and the bottom of it darker and cooler. And last but not least, in order to create contrast, you can go darker but not much lighter. So for more dramatic lighting effect, go much darker for the clouds so that the sky and the reflections can seem much brighter. Okay guys, looks like we are approaching the end of today's video. And we have one more module to go for this series of cloud painting online course, which will be a bit more challenging than the previous two courses. But I think with the foundational knowledge you have built over these two classes so far, you can certainly do it. All right, hope to see you all in the next video. Bye.